Donald Trump says he likes tough-talking generals. He wants to talk tough to our enemies. And sometimes tough talk isn't the way. So should we worry?
Oh, my God, a tough-talking general. We're all going to die. All right, shut up. Stop it. So Thursday night saw Trump's thank you tour. Thank God there was no gloating.
And that person was saying for months that there's no way that Donald Trump can break the blue wall, right? We didn't break it, we shattered that sucker. We shattered.
And at least he let bygones be bygones.
Although we did have a lot of fun fighting Hillary, didn't we? The people back there, the extremely dishonest press. How about when a major anchor who hosted a debate started crying?
All right, let's be clear. He was gloating. But was he gloating for himself or for them? Those people in that stadium put their faith in him. So Trump went there to let them bask in their victory. He rarely said I, only we. He also made news.
We are going to appoint Mad Dog Mattis as our Secretary of Defense. But we're not announcing it till Monday, so don't tell anybody. Mad Dog. He's great. He is great.
He is great. Now, people like Carol Costello think, oh, my God, a mean general. He might hurt ISIS's feelings. What if Al-Qaeda gets really mad? Sorry, lady, they're already beheading people. I can't see how pissing them off more matters. And so what if Mattis is scary? That's great. His nickname is Mad Dog. That's great, too. What would you prefer a general's nickname be? Corporal Kitten Boots? Captain Fuzzballs? Sergeant Cuddle Buddy? Besides, old warriors are often the least warlike because they've seen death up close. But really, Mr. Trump isn't assembling a cabinet. He's remaking the Wild Bunch. It's like it's the Expendables, but with better actors. The question is, will Mitt be among them? Donald had Mitt for dinner. It was as awkward as puberty, with the relaxing appeal of a rectal exam. And at their side was Reince, like the child of divorced parents, hoping that they might patch it up. The menu, frog legs and marshmallows. The chef calls that the Lena Dunham. So is Mitt really up for a job, or is Trump trolling? Did Trump say to himself, you know, when I win, I'm going to force Mitt to come to New York and stuff his face full of frog legs and marshmallows? It's a very specific sort of revenge, but I get it. So how is Newt taking Mitt?
I think there is nothing Mitt Romney can say that doesn't sound phony and, frankly, pathetic. He made his case. He made his case all year. He did all he could to help cause Trump to lose Utah.
He's like the kid whose mommy brings home a new baby brother. But Trump's team is shaping up. But he's not draining any swamp, unless that swamp is the Fox News green room. Seriously, he's snagging all of our best guests. Soon we'll be back to interviewing Dick Morris. Anyways, Trump builds a team. What do the Democrats do? They re-elect this.
I have a special spring in my step today because this opportunity is a special one to lead the House Democrats, bring everyone together as we go forward.
Yeah, she has a spring in her step. That's what happens when you eat nothing but Slinkies. So the Democratic donors are freaking out because now investing in their dismal party is like adding a basement to a porta potty. And Trump keeps winning. He saved those carrier jobs. It's a victory, perhaps temporary. You know, it's like taking your goldfish to the vet. Maybe you bought it an extra week. Automation, artificial intelligence, robots, most job losses today come via technology. But the real lesson here Carrier is another example of where Trump stole the left's weaponry to beat the left. See, the left invented the symbolic feel-good victory. It was always the right that had to sit and grimace. Now it's the Republicans playing Santa Claus, and the left have to sit and take it.
This is good news, and obviously we'd welcome that good news. I guess what I would observe is that if he is successful in doing that 804 more times, then he will meet the record of manufacturing jobs that were created in the United States while President Obama was in office.
How does it feel, Josh, to be the Grinch? So Trump hasn't even been sworn in, and he's getting crap done. I know it's not capitalism to pick winners and losers, but for now, this is something until we figure out what to do next. And it beats this.
Why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask? Well, the choice for working families has never been clearer.
That was close.
Period.
Let's welcome tonight's guest. She's so sunny, vampires are terrified of her. Kennedy, host of Kennedy, Fox Business Network. He's so smart, Mensa takes tests to get inside him. Rob Long, executive producer. Kevin Can Wait, founder of Ricochet.com. Her favorite color is sadness. National Review reporter, Fox News contributor, Kat Timpf. Stop crying. And it's official. He's now a Fox News contributor. TNA wrestler Tyrus. Yes. All right. Let's just go down the line here with you, Kennedy.
Sure.
What did you think of last night? Was he gloating or was he giving?
I thought that, you know, he went to a place where people made a stand. They wanted change. They wanted something different. They wanted something anti-establishment. They don't want protocol. They don't want business as usual. And I'm actually kind of sick of hearing, you know, this is how Trump is supposed to behave because this is how everyone has behaved. That's not a good enough reason.
Right.
And he rewrote some rules on the campaign trail. You may disagree with how he delivered some of his main points, but the fact that he went back when he wasn't campaigning and delivered them to people who gave him a win, I think it says something, and I think it's okay to get rid of some of these stale traditions.
Well, you know what? You're right. I think what Kennedy is saying is that finally it's okay to be an And by the way, as someone who has been one, Rob, for so long, now I don't have to hide. I can come out of the closet as an a-hole.
Right. As if the sweater didn't give you away.
By the way, speaking of sweater, you know what I wore this for? Do we have that screen grab? I wore it for that lady there. Isn't that nice?
That's nice.
Yeah, that is. So, Rob, you know, are we going to see, do you think we're going to see more of this kind of thing?
Well, look, I mean, first of all, I mean, full disclosure, I was not a fan.
Yeah.
But he's got every right to gloat if he wants to gloat. He won big. People like me were totally wrong. He was totally right.
Yeah.
He won. He gets to gloat. But the second thing is, it's not like he's breaking tradition. Barack Obama went on this kind of tour in 2008.
Yeah.
We all forget that. But now, now he's doing the same thing, and he's reminding people that he can draw crowds, that he's really popular. And that's a smart thing to do when you're president of the United States. The permanent campaign he's going to run is no different from the permanent campaign that Barack Obama ran, or that Bill Clinton ran, or all these people ran. It's fair. It's not new. It is not new.
Cat, it's like a mirror image of Obama, right? It is. He's just a different kind of Obama.
Very different.
Yes.
But everybody, when they're better than other people, wants to gloat about it.
Yeah.
Which is mean to other people, but you're better than those people, so you shouldn't care.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, people were really mean to Donald Trump, and a lot of the negativity was very much justified. He was very mean back and often the aggressor, but he won, and everybody was laughing in the face of him. It's like the Little Giants.
Yes.
You know, except he's the giant.
Yes.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
When you win and you're not expected to win, you gotta say, I won! And you do it for as long as you can. He's got free time before he's the president. Gloat all you want.
You watch every team when they celebrate when they win. The other team, when they pan around them, they're like, well, you know, they don't have to go
Teams should do this. They should take tours to all the other cities they beat.
They should
I beat you guys!
All right, Tyrus. Don't they? They get parades.
Yeah, in their city.
Tyrus, okay. You can talk about this. You can talk about Mattis. You can talk about Carrier. Go.
I think we're missing the point. Trump's fighting back. I don't think he's necessarily gloating. Have you seen the news?
They're not covering anything he's doing. They're still crying about, we had the popular vote. And since you want to bring up sports, saying you had the popular vote is like getting your ass kicked, but you had more yards.
Yeah, that's...
Doesn't count.
Very good.
You lost.
Yeah.
And every appointment he has, there's somebody going, oh, I can't in good conscience. So what he's doing is, instead of giving the media, mainstream media, the story, he's the story.
Yeah.
So he'll tell his message his way, and they have to watch it. And just the Romney dinner real quick, since crow apparently is not allowed on the menu, I think Donald said, what's the grossest thing you have? Well, sir, we have frog legs and marshmallows. That's why Romney's back was to the camera, and he's like, eat the food.
I think he'll never,
eat the food. And he was just...
You know what the best part is, though?
Right.
Trump had the waiter bring him chicken. And, you know, it's like, can you just shape it to look like frog's legs?
Exactly.
And Mitt can eat the frog's legs, and I'll have the chicken.
He had the bucket under the table from KFC, and he's just peeling the skin off.
Frog legs taste like chicken.
They do.
It's a chicken tasting dish.
I think that Trump will never ever announce Secretary of State because he's just having so much fun going out to dinner with Mitt Romney.
It'll be 2020.
I mean, like relationships, there are two phases. There's romance and then there's roast battle. But in politics, it's like the opposite, I've learned. Like, it'll be, you know, you're a fraud. You'll be terrible for the country. And next thing you know, you are eating lamb chops at a restaurant with mood lighting.
Yeah.
Or Trump's like, 2 more bites and it's yours. Come on, 2 more.
Yeah, I would love to hear what's going on in this
Eat the food.
conversation.
All right.
Eat the food.
You know what the weird thing is? You know what that meal cost?
What?
$1,000.
Really?
And Trump and Mitt Romney, they don't drink.
They don't drink.
They don't drink.
Yeah.
So Reince Priebus must have been drinking so...
It's true. Booze is made for dinners like these. It's for mending fences. I don't know how, like, both of them that don't drink, good for them. Ooh. But it's like, I don't know how I would handle it. By the way, my point is, like, this is a historical first. We talk about Obama being the first black president, despite Bill Clinton, but
that's real. That's
real.
It
is. President Trump is the first entertainment president, the first pop culture entertainment president. He's in the entertainment bubble. Right. He can say anything he wants, and you can go, oh, that's Donald. That's what you do with an entertainer.
But what about Ronald Reagan?
Ronald Reagan was a 2-time governor. Before that, this guy walked off of a reality show and said, yo.
But it's more than
That's a direct quote, by the way.
Yeah. This guy is the most famous person ever to be president of the United States.
Yes.
It is in his blood. He just knows how to handle it. And that's why everyone's freaking out. Every other president kind of learns to be famous late in their life, you know, when they're 60 and then suddenly they're famous. This guy's been famous, I mean, since I was in, high school.
You mean like the 50s?
Well, not.
You walked into that really bad joke.
Yeah, thank you,
I'm
Greg.
kind of ashamed David said that. All right, coming up, more stories that will fry your mind, including this one. The Ohio State attack. Was the suspect radicalized before he came to the U.S. or after? We shall discuss. This week, a punk named Abdul Razak Ali Artan tried to mow down and stab his fellow students at Ohio State U till he was fatally shot by a nearby police officer, or what we'd call a hero. ISIS claimed Artan as one of theirs, and law enforcement officials believe he may have self-radicalized online. Meanwhile, back in August, Artan was quoted in the school paper saying, "I'm a Muslim. It's not what the media portrays me to be. If people look at me, a Muslim praying, I don't know what they're going to think, what's going to happen." Now, it sounds like he was taking a course in microaggressions. Oh, wait, he was. Reason Magazine is reporting Artan was enrolled in a class called Crossing Identity Boundaries and reportedly had an assignment due this week. Reason reported the assignment required students to find examples of microaggressions and explain which identity groups were the victims. So when we say we want immigrants to assimilate to our culture, be careful. Do we really want them assimilating to our culture of grievance? A culture that might be better at making ISIS recruits than ISIS themselves? Could it be that because America no longer offers a counter-narrative to the anti-West hate that floods the web and instead force-feeds immigrants classes on victimology, we create ready-made haters fresh for a death cult? I'm not saying we are, but yeah, I am saying we are, for gosh sakes.
period.
Thank you. Stop it. Rob, class on microaggressions. Actions I would call macroaggressions. Right. They're telling him, like, oh, watch out for verbal cues.
There's little ones, yeah.
And he gets into a car and runs over people. Shouldn't there be classes on macroaggressions?
Well, apparently you don't need them. He knows how to do them. The weird thing about this guy, guy is like the kid who's like at home and he's sleeping late and he's eating his parents' food and he's saying, I just hate your values. These guys come, they get radicalized wherever they get radicalized. They would rather be radicalized here in the United States.
Yeah.
Where it's much more comfortable.
Right.
And then maybe every now and then do some kind of crazy thing.
Yeah.
Rather than actually we should be sending them back.
Yeah.
To the it's hot out there back where
yes.
It's dangerous there.
Yes.
And they should be sent back to that. You want to have an aggression, do one somewhere where there's a guy the Russians are gonna bomb you.
Exactly. You know, Kat, you've been covering this stuff for a long time. Is it? I mean, I'm not saying a class like this is a cause, but it's a lubricant for victimology. It didn't cause this attack, right?
No, it didn't cause the attack. The kid was obviously cuckoo bananas. I don't care what happens to you. You don't just go run a bunch of people over and stab them. But he was...
I could see you doing that after a bad relationship.
Well, we can talk about that later. I'm doing a good job right now.
Yes.
There's cameras. But, you know, you're not like a happy person who thinks the world is fair and doing something like this.
Right.
No one's ever like, I've had such a great day and the world's beautiful and I need to go murder a bunch of people. So obviously it had something to do with it, and I think that if you do think that society as a whole is doing something against you, society as a whole, which is this narrative that all white people are automatically racist, then you could maybe justify doing something like that to yourself.
This is my point, Kennedy. Campuses are not schools. They are now an industry of wounds. Sounds like the name of a band, right? Industry of Wounds. Because they're taking in healthy minds and they're churning out aggrieved, angry souls.
Yeah, who are basically looking for instances of a grievance.
Yes.
And I think that's exactly what happened with this person. And I know, you know, he was interviewed by the school paper at The Ohio State University. And he said, you know, he was talking about how difficult it is to be a Muslim and how he tries to pray in public and he feels like people are judging him. But, you know, what if, as an Eastern Orthodox Christian, I went to Somalia or Pakistan? You know, he's Somali and as a refugee went to Pakistan for a number of years before he was relocated in the United States. Would I be accepted with open arms in countries like that?
Also, anyone who was judging him, if that's true, was right. He stabbed a bunch of people.
Yeah, maybe
that's a good point.
Maybe they were good judges of character.
Tyrus, is this something that can be solved with immigration? Because what if he wasn't radicalized when he came over?
Here's the thing. Every time, in this country, it's always whatever the thing is. Whenever someone's socially unacceptable or they just don't fit in or they're just whatever reason, even in the Muslim groups, he wasn't very popular. I think he had 12 friends on his Facebook page. So he just socially was unacceptable. So a lot of times when people are social deviants and just don't get along with, they attach themselves to things like ISIS. I'm pretty sure he wasn't getting phone calls from attack now, go. He just said, oh, that's what I belong to, because he couldn't belong to anything else. So, and when he acted out violently, and if you look at his pattern, it was like built up over time. He built courage.
I'm tired of loners getting a bad rap, Rob.
Well, I know why you are, because you were one.
Yes, no,
but
I am one of those. I'm the next door neighbor that they always say he didn't say much.
Didn't say much. strange smell from the crawl space.
Strange smell, and there was a leaking thing from above.
But look, I mean, this guy isn't that different from the undergraduates we saw at Mizzou. Or the undergraduates
you're making quite a leap, my friend.
The undergraduates we saw screaming at the professor at Yale. There's like, it's just it's on the journey. It's not like they're on the opposite side. They're like a 6, and that guy was an 11. That's that trajectory.
Okay, I wouldn't compare the people to terrorists. I would say the grievance mentality helps no one. Correct? Helps no one.
Okay, you know what I would compare it to? I would compare it to violent protesters. Because there are people who argue that that's a form of terrorism, but it's the same with this guy and other people like him. They claim to have a list of insults and grievances. However, there's never a solution to it. You're never going to get anywhere.
Right.
There's never going to be, like Colin Kaepernick, and I'm not saying Colin Kaepernick is a terrorist. He's just very annoying. No. But he's got so many things he's upset about. And will there ever be a day where where Colin Kaepernick says, you know what, this is enough. This is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the people who throw lit bricks at cops.
Yes.
What do they really want? They can't articulate it because there's no end to this annoying journey.
You are right, and that's the whole point. The industry of wounds creates an impossible solution. You can't solve that problem. They're always going to be wounded. I got to go, Rob. Save that thought. We'll talk about it during the break. Coming up, a story so strong you might mistake it for my quads. But first, Fidel Castro's funeral is tomorrow. I wonder what Colin Kaepernick will be wearing. Fidel Castro is dead. It's about time he did something worthwhile. His funeral... Oh, how tasteless. Oh, tasteless. Applauding the death of a dictator. His funeral will take place tomorrow in Cuba. Since Castro's death, Cuba has put restrictions on playing music at restaurants and theaters, limited alcohol intake, and it's interfered with internet service. You know, just to make sure the Cuban people properly grieve for a man who slaughtered so many of its own. But yet many on the left continue to glorify this madman. Why? Because as long as your motive is fighting the Goliath, that is America, your actions don't matter. Jill Stein, remember her? She tweeted, Fidel Castro was a symbol of the struggle for justice in the shadow of empire. That's us. Presente. Boo. Yes, boo her. Tom Morello, once a great guitarist, from Rage Against the Machine, posted on Instagram by defying Yankee imperialism for 50 years because we're so bad, instituting the best health care, lie, and being an unrepentant advocate for the poor and exploited, another lie. It is no surprise that millions will mourn his passing. Lie! What is truly no surprise is how predictable these reactions are. Maybe the left needs to learn that Goliath isn't always the bad guy just because he's big. And David isn't always the hero if he leaves innocent people in his wake. Bottom line, Castro executed thousands, threw gays into camps, and confiscated wealth and property for himself. He was an awful, awful man, or in short, a leftist loved by to ignore history. All right. Tyrus, you understand where I'm coming from. Because you're a big guy, people assume you're bad, and I'm the little guy. People think I'm like a little saint.
First of all, David's ass got lucky. So
yes.
let's keep that real.
Yeah, he had a slingshot.
And Castro's so beloved that somebody's willing to take a blanket and a tire tube and hop on the ocean to get out.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for the Scarface movie. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
And I think it's amazing that, and this is what's cool about America, what's his name from Rage Against the Machine? If he would have wrote that piece that he wrote about, let's say, Kennedy, what he was to America when he died, he wouldn't have seen the morning. And Rage Against the Machine, you never would have heard their songs over there. So I think it's awesome when you sit on a mountaintop of success and money, how easy it is to say he was all these things. Go ask those people in Cuba right now that would go down there and then would say, during his funeral, they all have to look sad because his brother might see somebody smiling, and that guy's going to go on a trip, and he's not coming back. So before everyone talks about how great of a man he is, he was a dictator. And you stay a dictator not because you're popular. You stay a dictator because you're in power. And he was not a good person. And it's funny that America nowadays can sit back, well, he was this, and he stood up to Yankee Imperial. Your ass grew up in Chicago, bruh. You never spent go to Cuba. Like, Joe, go run Greenpeace in Cuba. We won't see you again. A woman?
He put the in dictator, I'll tell you that.
He did.
Rob, how do you think Castro will be remembered?
Well, that's what's so weird about all this stuff is that, like, it's all going to come out. I mean, when the guy said millions will mourn him, that's true. There's just not a million Cubans. They're not going to mourn him. And it's all we're going to know exactly what happened in that armed one island camp. In the next 5-10 years, happened to the Soviet Union, happens every time. The idea that somehow, if they keep saying he was a great man enough, that people will in Cuba will forget and not tell those stories is crazy. He will be remembered for what he was, which is an evil thug.
Kat, you seem sad.
No, I am, but it's got nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Okay.
It just kind of reminds me, these people tweeting about, yeah, you know, Castro, but he offered health care. It reminds me of Prison Wives, where these women are married to serial rapists and murderers, and they're like, but he writes me really cute letters and he never cheats on me. And while that might be true, it doesn't even matter to them that the reason he's not cheating is because he's in prison. And
he still might be cheating.
He still might be cheating, depending on.
Excuse me, that's not cheating.
That's not cheating. That is not cheating.
It's not cheating if it's not consensual. But they just have this fantasy of like, well, you know, I know what you think, but I'm just so much more emotionally involved, and I understand that there's some good in this person. It's just like, ugh, stop it, shut up, and get with reality.
You know, you can clap. Now you can stop. Kennedy.
Yeah.
Why do celebrities continue to think that this is somehow an edgy persona? It's like the most predictable thing you can do in your sad world. Like real bravery would be to damn him, but then like Tyrus says, you would.
Well, but then you would be confronted with the actual facts of his life and legacy, and that's a very inconvenient truth for people like Tom Morello.
Yeah.
Now, if they actually piped in Rage Against the Machine into Cuba, so young people could hear "pocket full of shells," do you think they would be longing for communism? No. They would be longing for capitalism's greatest export, and that is music and culture, of which Tom Morello is a part. And that has to do with freedom of information and freedom of choice. Those are two things in vastly short supply in a place like Cuba. So if you want to go somewhere where people, and by the way, all these leftists, they love unions. They love unionizing, and that is something that Fidel Castro never allowed.
He died nearly a billionaire. So the whole point of him seizing power was to seize money and property, and he still wore that, you know, to hold on to his revolutionary persona. He always wore the green jumpsuit, which you know stunk. You just know it stunk. Because, you know, how many do you have?
Yeah.
You know, and you're in Cuba. It's very hot, and it's hard to get good detergent. Not that I would know. Next, the story of the year, or perhaps the next 10 minutes. I can't make up my mind. But first, President Obama takes a parting shot at Fox News. I think someone has a secret crush on us.
If you'll be in the New York area and would like to be part of our studio audience, email Greg Tix at foxnews.com.
He whined and maligned for one last time. Who's to blame when your team loses the game? If you're President Obama, Fox News. Speaking of Rolling Stone, whatever that is, he lamented the Democrats' trouble reaching working-class white voters. Quote, I think that part of it has to do with our inability, our failure to reach those voters effectively. Part of it is Fox News in every bar and restaurant in big chunks of the country. Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry. The bars I go to usually show stuff like this. Nice. Now, granted, the president did blame his party for sucking, but as usual, he fell back on the same old excuse for failure. Evil Fox News. Worse, he revealed an amazing cluelessness. He thinks businesses across America show Fox News. Sorry, Captain Precious, the only people who force-feed politics down people's throats are earnest progressives like yourself. For non-liberals, politics isn't our life. You won't find us preaching social issues while serving deep-fried mozzarella potato skins with sprinkles. That's the difference between left and non-left. The left digs calamity. We just want to eat till we puke. All right. Where am I? Rob. What is with President Obama and Fox News? Is he projecting?
I'm sorry. I just sort of like stopped thinking when you said deep-fried mozzarella sticks. Like, wow.
Yes.
Look, like when you lose something, you always ask yourself one question: did I lose it, or was it stolen?
Yes.
And you always want it to be stolen because it was stolen. It's not your fault. If some other mean guy stole it, it isn't that I was stupid or played the game wrong or didn't understand or needed to do a lot of work or need to figure out how I blew it. It's the other guy.
Yeah.
And that's sort of natural. What's weird is that like this guy has not been in a bar or restaurant in 8 years. I mean, he really hasn't.
Yes, exactly.
He's never seen this.
Yeah.
But he walks around the Oval Office with they're watching that Fox News down there. It's just that's their own weird fantasy.
Yeah, I was going to say, what bars and restaurants is he going to? Like, no, you're at your house and you're drunk. That's totally different.
Or secretly smoking.
Of course he smokes.
Yes.
Like, and that's fine.
That's how he's so trim.
Go for it. Smoke and smoke.
It is a dietary supplement for people with weight problems.
Yes, it is. I really would love to just endorse smoking, and I don't smoke.
Finish your thought.
I really wish I could thank President Obama personally for the attention.
Okay, there you go. All right,
That's the point. The people are watching Fox News.
Yeah.
Hey, bartender, put on Fox News. It's the people.
Yeah, except a lot of people in New York say no.
Yeah, they say no.
They don't tell me no.
Even after
nobody tells you no.
Even after I explain that I want to watch myself.
All right. I want to get to this story. Big dust-up between Clinton and Trump aides. Jennifer Palmieri and Kellyanne Conway this week both attended a forum at Harvard that has held every presidential contest. Listen.
If providing a platform for white supremacists makes me a brilliant tactician, I am glad to have lost. And give me a minute, David. I am more proud of Hillary Clinton's all right speech than any other moment on the campaign because she had the courage to stand up. I would rather lose than win the way you guys did.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes.
That's very clear today. No, you wouldn't, respectfully. Rather, I'm sorry, how exactly did we win? No, go for it, Jen. How exactly did we win? I'd like to know because I've sacrificed the last 4 months of my life to do it. Excuse me. And we did it.
And none of their lips were moving the entire time. Did you see that?
Incredible.
It was all telepathy.
No, that's absolutely right. That's how they communicate nowadays. They're such evolved human beings.
Yes.
Jennifer Palmieri, to quote Kellyanne Conway, she is full of crap.
Yes.
Because she knew exactly how the Trump team was campaigning.
Yeah.
She knew how they were reaching out to people. She knew all the non-traditional, unorthodox ways that he was getting his message out there. And it made some people uncomfortable throughout. But she also knew that as the race was tightening before James Comey made that announcement on October 28th, that the race was within a couple points. And that means it was within the margin of error. And that means that either person could have won. And that means that Trump could have won. So therefore, if she didn't want to win the way they were winning, she wanted to lose, and they lost. So maybe she's the one who completely turfed Hillary Clinton's campaign because she gave up, because she saw that someone else is winning, and they did.
Yes. That is why she only needs one name. Tyrus, you only have one name. We have a lot of one-namers here.
Yeah, it's just easier for my driver's license.
Yeah. You don't drive.
I'm taking this way. I've seen this argument a million times in the clubs. This is what happens when you've been replaced. Like the White House was the man and Trump was the other woman. And now he left his wife, which was the Democratic Party. And now they're at a party. So I'm going to say something. No, don't. No, I'm going to tell her about herself. And she messed up because she walked up to the new Mrs. White House and was like, I just want you to know to go behind somebody's back and be another person's man. You ain't no room. And she's like, babe, I got all the texts. He was calling me. He was at my house. He wasn't trying to see you. Don't hate. I'm in. You're out. Bye, boo. That's what that conversation was. And homegirl had practiced that diss statement. Well, if I was going to do racism, but she stuttered.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing is when you come hard at somebody and you're like, let me tell you something, Greg. Your sweater's on whack and your hair is just forget you, Greg. Whatever, Greg. Whatever.
Yes.
And the dude who was doing the interview was like, come on, let's go. Trying to get her in the car. Trying to save face because it's not going to, she's going to cry on the way home. You lost. It's over. He's not coming back. Get your stuff out. Delete your Facebook. Move on.
You know? All right. I got to go. I said this on the 5 yesterday, Friday. And the bigot pistol ran out of bullets. That's what happened. Palmieri was there firing her bigot pistol. You're a bigot, Bannon's a bigot, and they run out of, after 8 years, you ran out of bigot bullets.
Sometimes people stay mad.
Yes.
Even though I have somebody mad at me right now that should get over it, but you can't always control that, so what can you do?
Okay, by the way, when you're using the bigot pistol, the people you're shooting are the ones you wanted to vote for. You're insulting half the country.
Exactly.
Still.
All right. Rob, you were going to say something.
I was only going to say this, that the strange thing about it is that the reason she lost ultimately was that people did not trust her. They did not believe what she was saying, and she never attempted to address that.
Exactly.
If this is a self-inflicted wound. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
The biggest
it was an act of political suicide just because no one could say to her, ma'am, people don't trust you.
Yeah. On that note, why one pretentious fashion designer says he won't dress the future First Lady. Well, that sounds like our show. Fashion designer and smarmy jerk Tom Ford says he won't be dressing future First Lady Melania Trump because he's a big fat jerk, or something like that. Here he is talking about it on something called The View.
We have a new First Lady, Melania Trump. She's quite beautiful, and she's thin.
Yes.
She's going to look great in the clothes, no?
I don't know. I was asked to dress her quite a few years ago, and I declined.
Why?
Well, she's not necessarily my image. You know, even had Hillary one, she shouldn't be wearing my clothes. They're too expensive.
But Michelle Obama, she wore expensive clothes.
Michelle I dressed once when she was going to Buckingham Palace for dinner with the Queen, and I thought it was appropriate. I live in London, and so that made sense.
I am willing to bet that voice is fake. Nobody is born sounding like that. He practiced that in front of a mirror since he was 15. He's from Texas. All right. Imagine, Kennedy, you're on The View, and you say, I'm not going to dress Michelle Obama. You know, the clothes are too expensive.
I didn't even think of it in those terms.
No, are you kidding me? Joy Behar, Whoopi Gold, their heads would explode. What's left of their brains would be everywhere. They'd be like those fireworks, the Roman candles, but they'd be brains instead of sparks.
They'd be brain candles, and those are the worst kind of all.
Exactly.
No, it's really funny to me because, you know, you think Nancy Pelosi lives in a bubble, you know, and that's obviously why Hillary Clinton lost, because she completely lost touch with most of the country, not the middle of the country, not the flyover states, but where most people live, and they have no idea how they do it. The same goes for Barack Obama. He's got soft hands. He hasn't been into a bar. He wouldn't go to a county fair unless he were counting on someone voting for him or his legacy. Tom Ford is so completely out of touch, but the funny thing is, the bulk of his business doesn't come from women who spend $15,000 on couture gowns. It's someone who spends $120 on a pair of his sunglasses on bluefly.com. But people who can afford that are going to look at this and be like, wow, what a jerk-face knob job. Like, I have no desire to be associated with.
Exactly. He just said, toast. Don't buy from me, I'm a big
Well,
but anyway, can I, Rob?
It's weird. I think it's good, but it's weirder than that. I mean, well, as you know, I'm kind of an expert in fashion.
You are.
Fashion blogger, whatever.
You're like
they call his pants.
I'm a lifestyle expert.
Yeah. You're like the modern Potsy.
Yeah, I'm the modern Potsy. Yeah.
But
I'm the Morrissey who eats meat. That's what you call me.
Yeah, you're the Morrissey who eats meat. I think it's actually bigoted. I think that he's basically saying is she Eastern European? That's what I think he was saying.
I think it's actually worse than that. Last year, we heard that the worst people in the world refused to bake a wedding cake for people they disapproved of. And we were told that those people were awful, and it was illegal.
Yes.
And yet, here's this guy saying he's going to refuse to. What he does is bake a dress cake, I guess.
A dress cake.
Somebody he disapproves of, and we're all applauding it. You can't have it both ways. Either the people who refuse to bake the cake are heroes, or Tom Ford is a hero, or maybe they're both jerks. But it can't be. You can't have it both ways.
They're jerks.
Okay, so it was bad, and the way he talks is incredibly annoying, and his clothes aren't my image. Please shut up and stop talking. But at the same time, he's not as bad as somebody like Sophie Thiele, who posted on Twitter, completely unprompted. He was at least being badgered about it on The View. Completely unprompted. Just so you know, I'm not going to dress Melania Trump.
Right.
Like, what are we, 5-year-olds?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just so you know, you're not coming to my birthday party at the Discovery Zone because you're not invited.
Something tells me you've heard that.
I have heard that, and they weren't invited to my party either.
But she's a billionaire, right?
Yes.
She dresses pretty cool now.
Yeah.
So
and she does it herself.
Yeah.
If
crazy. Ford doesn't do it, have Chevy do it. Who gives a damn?
Yeah.
Also, like, I dress myself every day.
I've been dressing.
Bragging. Thank you.
Final thoughts coming up. We're almost out of time, so listen.
What you've wanted to say all show, but haven't had the chance to say, so here's your chance to say it. Right now.
Kennedy.
Yes. Greg, thank you. Instead of being divisive and maligning the pretentious words of Tom Ford, I think we should be applauding Tommy Hilfiger and Diane von Furstenberg, who said that it would be an honor to dress the First Lady, regardless of her party affiliation or who she's married to. And Melania can afford to buy them all and send them to HE double hockey sticks.
Right. Okay. Rob, got applause. We got to move on. Rob.
I just want to say that I think that we should also take the next 7 weeks off. It's going to be very. We're going to get really crazy when the inauguration happens.
Yes.
And I can't handle this level of anxiety and stress.
It's unbelievable. Tyrus.
I just want to let.
Go.
I want to let everybody know, Kanye West is out the hospital. Apparently, there's no cure for being a jackass. So.
Oh, terrible. All right. Last word, Kat.
I don't like Christmas music because I think it makes the lonely feel more lonely and the not as lonely feel like codependency is the answer. And I think we need a season where we play Shaggy's Mr. Boombastic on repeat in stores instead. He once said he thought his music could cure ISIS. I mocked him at the time, but now I understand.
Yes. All right. Thanks to Kennedy, Rob Long, Katherine, Tyrus, our studio audience. I'm Greg Gutfeld. I love you, America. I do.